in himself, like he's constantly trying not to kill somebody every day, and you never know what that trigger is.
Right. And someone making a mockery of a sport that he loved, that could be a trigger, like in the middle.
Oh my God, that could be a straight trigger.
Oh, bad. Yeah, I just wouldn't want to see that. It wouldn't even be fun. I know a lot of us are annoyed by the Paul brothers and all that, but that wouldn't really be fun to see at all.
Yeah.
Speaking of another person making a mockery of the sport, how about Kwame Brown talking about the Lakers?
Speaking, hey,
Man,
how you feel
oh
about
my
it?
God, man, I don't know, man. It was, man, Kwame shouldn't be. Ah, man, yeah,
He
yeah,
shouldn't be talking about basketball
yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
you're about to piss me off because I just watched my Lakers lose. Just watched them lose.
That's why I said
Yeah,
speaking.
you're about to piss me off. And I was trying to behave, but man, I guess
He,
I think what had people going off on the internet was the fact that Kwame, during their struggles and they're still struggling, it doesn't look like the struggle's going away anytime soon. Bless you. Um,
Thank you.
he pretty much has some very critiquing things to say about LeBron as far as when the meme went around. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick.
Okay, I got you. Man.
But yeah, get y'all the gist. This meme had went up. Everybody had all the jokes in the world, especially with Russell Westbrook sitting there looking at him like, like man, Russ, no, he on that
what
list,
what if he was reading it to Russ? Okay, so this is what you did,
I
man.
nigga.
got you.
But let me see if I can get into some of what he was talking about, and then
When he showed LeBron watching the stat sheet on the bench, and I looked at Russell Wilson, I looked at his Westbrook, I looked at his face as he looked at a man watching the stat sheet in the middle of the game. And when I saw Brother LeBron watching the stat sheet, that told me all I needed to know on why the Lakers are losing. That told me
What?
all I needed to know why that team is not connected on defense. Because I played since little league, since high school, and all the high school coaches around the world can attest to this. They would never, high school, college, whatever, they would never allow a player to watch a stat sheet on a bench, especially
Mm-hmm.
while they're losing. What is that stat sheet teaching you? It's not teaching you anything. I used to make sure if we lost a game, I wouldn't let nobody on our bus touch a stat sheet. We lost. What the fuck are we looking at the stats for? So for LeBron to be looking at a stat sheet on the bench, for all you young guys out there, I'm not taking anything away from the way he plays the basketball game. He's still great. He's still going to go down in the history as a great player. But that was the wrong message to send. That was horrible. And none of you players should ever emulate that. Because if players could discipline other players, and if coaches can discipline these superstars, which seeming to be the hardest thing to do in the world now, then he should have never been put back in the game because of that. Ain't no way in the hell. Kobe Bryant would have never done that. Matter of fact, if Kobe Bryant would have caught anybody doing that, it's on. You
What are
might
you
get
talking
you
about?
might get jacked up.
Kobe
And
had
if the
somebody.
leader of the team is doing
Tell
that,
him about the game.
and then
yeah.
This
So I mean,
nigga
that's
is
pretty much
retarded.
the gist that it.
I'm sorry I was talking. My bad. He
No,
just
that's
made me
good.
mad.
Nah, you cool. Yeah, no, that was pretty much the gist of it. I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but to me, this whole thing coming from Kwame Brown, and it just seems like he wants he's trying to join like that fray of people that feels the need to take shots at LeBron. Like anybody that knows, I think even like a LeBron hater, they would know that LeBron is like a computer out there on the court. So he's not
Correct.
just looking at stats so he can figure out like, oh, how many points I got, or just typical stuff, or how many rebounds I got. He's looking at the analytics of the game to probably figure out why they're getting their ass whipped. Which one point, like that's one thing that separates him from a Kwame Brown, because Kwame Brown wasn't putting up stats nor worried about stats.
That's why he didn't want to looking at the stat sheet. Everybody knew what his stats were. Like, but you look at that.
It was nothing to look at.
He didn't want nobody talking about his stats on the bus ride home. Well, Kwame, I got a hold of that stat sheet.
I can tell you,
Looked like he got Kwame 1.5 rebounds and 0 points.
One thing Kwame Brown never heard in the NBA was, man, Kwame, good game tonight. I'm sorry. Stephen A was right. I'll publicly apologize to Stephen A.
Hear that, Stephen A.
It wasn't even Stephen A's blooper reel that he tried to diss him with. Kwame tried to go on his show and post his own highlight reel that he did it on himself, posting his own highlight reel. He played 3 games. Like, okay, one game he was saying was a playoff game. Dude never been in the playoffs. So that was all. It was a regular season game against the Knicks. He played 3 games. Out of those 3 games, he probably scored 16 points total out of the 3 games. And
wow.
And then he was trying to highlight, like, oh man, I was one of the league leaders in getting to the free throw line. Whether I made them or not, that's a different story. But see, and so, and you should have seen, because he was shooting a lot of free throws in these highlights. But he only scored about 16 points out of these 3 games. Like, it was pretty fucking pathetic. Like, he's getting stopped at the rim by people smaller than him. And it was bad. Like, he had the chance to highlight himself. And his own chosen highlights was basically a blooper reel. I was like, oh, man, this dude's trash.
The person he hired was like, yeah, hey, Kwame, I did my best, man. This is what we got. I found 3 games where you look pretty good. So you want to run those?
Material, Kwame. It's just not enough. Like, man, dude, Stephen A was right. Stephen A was wrong for like how he carried on most of his career. But the
point that Stephen A was making was right. It was just wrong the way he tried to make that point.
Yeah, basically.
I honestly didn't remember Kwame being that bad. Like, I just figured, like,
you don't remember Kwame playing. That's why. You can't remember what Kwame Brown was doing. He was unmemorable.
He's right. Let's be honest. When we all been around at your house watching NBA games, when did we ever say, "Oh man"?
And there was no Kwame. There was never no moments like that.
Not one. I remember one time Kobe Bryant had to drop 81 points just to beat the Raptors. This nigga was so trash.
Right. That man's so trash that he solidified another man's legacy.
Wow.
Trash.
Give me the damn ball. You're supposed to be dunking.
And don't get it twisted, fans. Don't get it twisted. We're not jumping on the bandwagon. None of that.
Yeah, none of that. But it's just the fact that he had the nerve to, I don't know, really speak in this manner to jump on, I would say, the bandwagon of like the LeBron hate. And this is the same dude. He's quick to say like, oh, well, y'all want to relegate me to just a basketball player. And I don't want to talk about basketball. Nah, that nigga don't want to talk about basketball when it pertains to his game.
In his career.
He want to talk about everybody else. He want to talk shit. But when we start talking about like, Nick, you seen that motherfucking Wikipedia page?
No. I didn't even know he had one.
Anybody can make a Wikipedia
They could have saved that shit. They could have saved space on the website. It don't even scroll. Shit just right there. Shit like, I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah, you don't want to have a basketball conversation, and you don't want to be relegated to a basketball player when folks start talking about his game.
How he was just a big bust according to Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas said, "Yeah, you don't want to look at no stat sheet because everybody know you had a 0, a Krispy Kreme glazed hot light on." That man, he went in on him.
Man, because somebody got to bring that into perspective. Like he sits online harassing motherfuckers all day, and then when people get on him and stuff about something that legitimate that you can get on him about, then he try to like flip the topic and then make it seem like people are attacking him on one front when it's like, dude, like mostly when your name come up, it's about basketball, and if it's about basketball, man, he was not it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
it's so true.
I feel like someone asked him a question about, did you ever read the stat sheet? No, we can never read the stat sheet on a bench.
it was nothing.
College, professional. What's the stat sheet?
and I mean, and it's just so crazy. Like you got to think, like, dude, he played with two of the greatest of all time. To play with Jordan and Kobe,
yeah.
To actually share a uniform with those two cats, and like you have nothing to show for it in your career.
Not even a high five.
Man, I
Did
know,
Kobe like him?
All you see is Kobe and then Jordan.
You know Kobe didn't like him. You know he didn't. If Kobe didn't like Dwight Howard, he definitely didn't like no Kwame Brown.
Beat the Raptors in that year? Hell no, man. I'd be like, fuck.
Kwame Brown was the reason why Kobe had to get new knees.
Man, and a new ankle too, or Achilles or something. Like, man, that was layover from that 81-point game,
right?
Kwame Brown. Kobe had to score 81 points. Kwame wasn't gonna help. Yeah.
Kwame wasn't scoring 81 points, so of course Kobe had to score 81.
Then you fast forward on the motherfucker on YouTube, and it's always some different shit. And I don't know. We'll probably hear shit about this and be all types of weak weasels and using white boy tactics. That's what white boy.
Y'all three niggas using white boy tactics.
But man, I don't know, dude. I just think like it's just crazy, like from one extreme to the next and shit, and he's still terrible.
Wow.
He's been on YouTube. He amassed all this audience, all this fame, and from playing with two of the greatest players of all time to kind of like getting a second chance, as something. Dude has nothing to show for any of this shit.
Nothing.
He's always in somebody's pockets. He's always telling you what somebody's making. The thing that really made me go off on one of his posts was the fact that he was talking about Gilbert Arenas being $100 million man and still having a boss. Like he didn't make $64 million or something to that effect in the NBA. And it's like, where is he at? Was he 40 million short of being a boss or something? Like, this dude has nothing attached to his name. He hasn't done nothing better than anybody that he comes at or he talks about, not even on the same level. And it's crazy that it just is very hypocritical for him to talk about, you still got a boss and all that. And it's like, dude, you work for YouTube. Like, you're not even a boss. Yeah. It's ridiculous. The dude's name is attached to nothing. He's been talking about the same shit on his tape, on his channel, trading and coding. We ain't got no Kwame Brown trading and coding foundation, no school or anything set up. This nigga just sitting here taking donations and eating shrimp and lobster off of YouTube donations. He was ramen. You tell he was ramen noodles and shit before that. Now every time you turn around, this nigga posted in a fucking crab shack somewhere and shit. This nigga eating good off these people donation. He ain't set up. Nothing is attached to this dude. Nothing comes from this nigga. No success. Nothing. I mean, he be letting people eat off him for YouTube. I mean, if that's something that we're gonna remember on his tombstone, but man. Besides that nigga just turned into a 7-foot YouTuber with ashy ass elbows, and it's goddamn annoying.
Damn.
Only thing weirder than that motherfucker is the people that follow him and reshare his videos and make whole entire videos for this dude and go at the people that don't agree with the bullshit that he's putting out. And it's ridiculous. Somebody got to say something. This thing is